Guess what? You're making Victorian walking skirts wrong. But don't worry, it's not your fault. All those costumers have led us to believe that the 1890s are perfect for history bounding, but they were wrong. There is a catastrophic design flaw in these walking skirts that are preventing you from living your best history bounding life. What is that flaw? To show you, I need to do a quick costume change. BRB. This is my 1890s walking skirt and my 1890s corset. Lovely. This is my 1890s walking skirt in my modern undergarments. This witch needs to be adjustable if you're gonna wear them for both occasions. You don't need a fancy new expensive pattern for this. All you need is this video. We're going to add 2 large plackets to the sides of the skirts to keep the skirt together. The front of the skirt will then go over top of it. There's not a lot of science behind making these plackets. Mine are about 12 inches long and extend that length out for about 4 inches before curving upward toward the center front. The center front portion is 7 inches long and extends out 6.5 inches from the side seam. You'll want to adjust those measurements to fit your particular shape since all bodies are different. All right, my friends, we have all of the pieces cut and serged, which probably took longer than assembling the skirt is going to take, if I'm honest. Hello, my little thread nuggets. No, that's a term of endearment that will never stick. This technique is a lot easier if your pattern has side seams, but this Fantail skirt pattern that I have from Scroop does not. So I cut the side panel in half and added seam allowance before I cut so that I would have a side panel. And I'm totally chill with it because if I have one complaint about this Scroop pattern, it's that it doesn't have side seams and it made for some awkward pocket placement. So now, let's put her together. Nope! I know you were thinking we were going to put the pockets on the front, but we're not because this is where things get weird. So let's go onto the table and talk about some plackets. Instead of putting the front part of the pocket on the front part of the skirt, we're going to put the front part of the pocket on the placket. So I've got both of my plackets. I went ahead and just flipped over and sewed once the edge that is the center front. So here's the center front. Here are the side seams. We're going to take the right side of our placket and the right side of our pocket and do the same thing as we usually do with the side front. Now we're going to take the right side of this placket and put it down on the right side of the back, so the pockets are matching. And we'll sew that together. With the pocket now installed on the placket instead of the front, now we can go ahead and attach the front of the skirt to the back of the skirt. However, we're only going to attach it up to about 1 inch above where the placket ends, and then we'll edge finish the rest of it so it's free to move around our waist. Pin, pin, pinny pin up to 1 inch below the placket. Pull up the placket out of the way from the seam and pin the seam up around the edge of it like this. It's a little fiddly, then sew. The rest of the side front edge will get turned under and stitched like you would an 18th century pocket slit. So here's your pocket, and then the front of the skirt will go up over top of it. Hello! You may recognize this technique from other adjustable skirt patterns like the coquelicot skirt. That's not an easy word to say, and je parle français. However, those are inspired by 18th century construction. Unlike the 18th century, where petticoats had fullness all the way around, late Victorian walking skirts have all of the volume in the back, and the front is very flat and very smooth down past the hips. That means our inside panel that hosts the adjustable bit needs to be very streamlined and invisible from the front. So adding laces or bulky ties is not necessarily an option for this. Instead, we're gonna use a little elastic. Whew! Not bad for an afternoon of sewing, my friends. However, we're about to lose the light, so I think this is where I'm going to stop. And tomorrow, when the light is back, we'll go ahead and deal with the pleats and the center front and the waistband. Yesterday it was a high of 70. Today it was a high of 41. Welcome to Texas. I love the cold weather, but it was so cold I had to turn the heat on, which I hate. The air gets this dry, my poor sinuses just struggle. But hey, at least I get to wear one of my sweaters, right? East cozy. So the next thing we need to do, I think, is tackle the back pleats and get the under waistband on so that we can test the front and adjust as necessary. So let's get down onto the board and deal with the pleats. As of right now, I'm following the pleating suggestion laid out on the pattern. However, I do have to fiddle with this a little bit, and you may find you have to do so as well, depending on the curve of your back and how much junk you've got in the trunk. The main important thing is that you have the pleats facing inward towards the center back, and they should be fairly deep. We're going to add one piece at the top of the placket and one piece on the bottom. If you're finding this video helpful or entertaining, please consider hitting the like button or say hello down below. Okay, so when I put this on yesterday to test it, pockets were gaping bad. So I went ahead and let out the widest, most pleat just to give myself a little bit more space, and that seems to have fixed it. I have a little bit of gaping on this side. This side looks pretty good. Then I realized I need to put the top elastic on the waistband, not on the top of the thingy, so let's go ahead and do that. Oh no! We can't have the elastic attached to the thingy! Do you all like this awesome new iron my parents got me? It has a light at the tip. Oh god, that's 2 in a row. And yet when I'm trying to do it on purpose, I can never think of any. Why? Back to some black on black action. Nope, don't do it. Don't do it, Jackie. Don't do it. Okay, I made a decision last night. I mulled it over a little bit. I'm only going to put elastic right here on the waistband. I'm gonna leave this portion just loose because when I pull this, that's when it gapes. So I've decided it stays pretty flat without it. So I'm just gonna leave it as is. When I put this here, the fabric is gaping. So I'm going to undo the waistband, pull it up by about 1 inch so that it lays flat, and just, you know, tuck it under and reapply the waistband on the sides. Ow, these pins are driving me mad, y'all. And, you know, do the same on the other side so that it doesn't gape. Also, I've decided I'm going to attach the elastic with a button on one side just so that I don't have to pull it on over my head and mess up my hair. It's cold, y'all. Loving it. When I sew elastic, I like to sew it in a square all the way around. You can do this in one shot by just turning your fabric on a 90-degree angle at each edge. It's a little bit of a hassle, but it's much more secure. You can also sew an X in the middle of the square for even more stability, like on something that will take a lot of strain. The button gets sewed on the edge of the elastic. Again, totally an optional step, but I'm glad I did it. Note that after another try on with the corset, I decided to add one additional button because it just wasn't sitting tight enough against my waist. We'll then sew the buttonhole into the waistband. Hand sewing's optional, but it's so much easier for me to hand sew my buttonholes than it is to wrestle with the machine. Okay, so here I'm ripping off the waistband just a smidge to do my weird little takey-uppy trick in the front. This feels really weird, but it worked well, so there you go. Here's the point where the waistband needs to be. I just moved the seam line down to that and pinned. Once it was sewn, I retucked the waistband and tunnel stitched it down. And if you're wondering why those last couple of clips are so easy to see, it's because I got a new light! Look, in this business, that's an exciting thing. Don't judge me. It's so cool. It's got a magnetic diffuser and does all sorts of crazy things with color, and I can control it from my phone. And it's got a magnet on the back so I can hang it from things. It now lives on the side of my rowing machine below the crazy messy working stash. Ooh, here's a sneak peek at some of my upcoming projects. This light is especially awesome because all of you helped me purchase it. Just by sticking around, watching videos to the end, and of course my amazing supporters over on Ko-fi. Moving forward, this is really going to improve the quality of my videos. So thank you so much. I love y'all. All right, with that taken care of, now all we have to worry about is the hem. Now you really want to have a nice reinforced hem on a walking skirt because they're walking skirts, because you're wearing them while you're walking. If the hem is really firm, then you can walk around a lot easier than if it's all flippy floppy. We're going to do it a little bit different than we did with my periwinkle skirt with this stuff. This is horsehair braid. It is not, in fact, made of horsehair. It's plastic. This stuff is really great for hems. You can get it in different sizes. This is a 2-inch width. You can get it in different weights. You can get kind of a soft horsehair or a stiff horsehair. I, of course, went for the stiff kind. The fancy kind has thread on the top that you can pull to sort of ease your way around curves. This kind doesn't because I'm cheap, but since it's this color, I'm gonna go ahead and face the entire skirt. The added benefit of facing it is that it'll give it even more structure and make it even more easy to walk around in it. So what you wanna do is mark your seam allowance on the outside of your walking skirt. Then place your braid slightly below the seam line so it's living in the seam allowance, and go ahead and sew it down. I got it in my head that I'd cover the scratchy ends of the braid with twill tape, but in the end, this wasn't easy or successful. 0% recommend. Instead of using the rather expensive handkerchief linen that I got from B&T to make this project, I'm going to use this random black poly cotton blend. I don't know why I bought this, what it is for. I just found it in my stash. It's black, it's cheap. It doesn't matter if it's poly because it's going on the hem. Now, I was really dumb here. I should have put the facing underneath the horsehair braid, so when you flipped it around, that was on top, but I didn't do that, so you know for future reference. Once the horsehair braid is sewn, flip it over and pull it up just a little so that there's a slight little peak of your regular fabric on the bottom. And then in my case, hand sew the facing over top, tack everything down, and you're good to go. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, let me know down in the comments. And if you'd like to watch more fun Victorian costuming content, why not check out this video here on the screen. I love y'all, and I'll catch you in my next video.